negative.
Thank you, and welcome to the Max Limbaugh Show. Before we get started, I'd just like to state that Max Limbaugh Show's social commentary. It's not a sports show, not trying to be a sports show. There's enough of them, and a lot of people out there talking who don't know what they're talking about. So I just want to throw our disclaimer out there. We're not Republicans. We're not Democrats. We're just critical thinkers and just exposing information to you. But I must talk about the hometown team, the Seattle Seahawks, and what's going on with them. It's time for their midterm report card. I don't know who else is doing this, and I really don't care. This is from my observations and to some people I talked to, so I thought I'd share them with you. And believe me, it will be different from what everybody else is talking about. So I want to start where games are won and lost, and that is in the trenches. And to this point, 8 games into the season, I feel that the Seahawks are basically doing the best they can considering the pieces that they have. They lost a few players. Players are hurt, and they're really relying on their depth to field. In fact, yesterday at the Oakland game, they had a third-string center. I think they had third-string offensive linemen who were playing. And I know they're professionals, but during the course of the season, when you're on that deep on the bench, you get dressed, but do you really expect to play? So I'm going to take my hats off to the guys who performed yesterday. I thought they did a great job considering that every game Russell Wilson has been running for his life. But that's just something we all have gotten used to seeing. But all in all, they did pretty good, except for the penalties on Marshawn Lynch's long gains. I think he had one for 40 called back, another one for 23 called back, and another one for 11 called back for whatever reason. And I think on his 40-yard scamper, Paul Richardson, the new kid, the rookie, got caught for a hold. Didn't even need to hold. But other than that, I thought they played pretty well. Marshawn Lynch was a beast, as he always is. You know, they try to second guess him, and when I mean by they, I mean the local sports media. And I'm gonna talk about the local sports media in just a second here. Well, basically, maybe towards the end, because I have a few things that I need to address as far as the local sports media is concerned. But he played his ass off, and he put out 110%. And to say that after this year that he's gone, I can understand that from a business perspective. But as far as team success go, and no disrespect to Robin Turbin or Christian Michael, but they are not Marshawn Lynch. Together, they're not even Marshawn Lynch. I never seen Marshawn look so quick. And this year he's looking extremely quick when he hits the hole. Besides with the other skills he has that makes him such a unique back. His 3-yard touchdown run yesterday against Oakland was a sight to see, and I know that's been all over NFL TV, ESPN Sports Center, and the like, because he was stopped cold and he got into the end zone. That was just pure determination. He is the heart and soul of the Seattle Seahawks, no question. And if he is let go for salary cap considerations, I can understand that as a business, but as a football fan, it would be hard to swallow because he has meant everything to this team. He survived the Percy Harvin debacle. For whatever reason, Percy couldn't do it here. He couldn't do it in Minnesota. And his beatdowns of people in Florida are legendary before he even got to the NFL. So he's been having a problem attitude-wise. And you know what happens with somebody like that. Eventually they run into somebody who's tougher than they are. And, you know, if he keeps it up, he will also. And back to Marshawn Lynch, you know, I know he gets this reputation up here, or this bad rap about he lives the quote-unquote thug mentality. But, you know, that's ridiculous. He's from Oakland, California. He's from a hard spot. And I know firsthand, because I spent a lot of time in Oakland when we were in the music business. And I know where he's from. I know the streets where he's from. But he rose above that. He has a unique skill set. He has a foundation set up down there. And I find it hard to believe that anybody can claim to be a thug or living a thug life when they're a multi-millionaire athlete or entertainer. It's beyond my comprehension, but that's just me. So with that being said, I would like to move to the next person on offense, the franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson. Since Russell Wilson's got here, it's been the same thing. Preparation, dedication, focus, commitment to excellence, the whole 9 yards. In my opinion, Russell Wilson's a walking cliche. He's been programmed, and he's been programmed well. He says the right things. He's perfect for the media. He's a media darling. I understand that he screens endorsements to make sure that they project his image correctly, you know, and his Christian values. And that's just a whole nother subject for me, the Christian values thing. But he is perfect as a franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. You won't hear about him making it rain in strip clubs or getting into fights or any of that. That's just not his nature, and he was that before he got here. And him being black enough, which was all over the media last week or whatever, that's just the media talking. You know, when you have a team with, I don't know, 53 to 80 football players or whatever, everybody is not going to like everybody. People are from different backgrounds or what have you. And just like, you know, you have white players who are from the farmland and white players who are from the suburbs. There's going to be differences, and that's just what it is. When you have that many people, there's going to be differences. We're not all the same. That's what makes us unique as human beings. So in my opinion, as I stated on the first show, Russell Wilson, yeah, he's black enough. I just think it's just jealousy seeping out if people don't think he's black enough, and I mean black males. You know, because he has a relationship with ownership. Hell, I wouldn't mind having a relationship with Paul Wilson and the rest of them. Paul Allen and the rest of the Seahawks organization. You know, he's one of the richest men in the world, and he can definitely help him way after football is over. So why not have a relationship like that? And Russell Wilson seems to be the type of young man who pulls other people up. He stresses education, and black men especially should be down with education, because that is your salvation. That thug crap isn't your salvation. Education is your salvation. And that's a whole nother subject that I'll be dwelling on and dealing with as I go forward with the Max Limbaugh show. But Russell Wilson, I'm going to have to give him a B just for survival. Now, he's made some bad throws, you know, where he overthrows a guy or he underthrows a guy or whatever, but that's to be expected, and he admits that. And, you know, when a man can stand up and say, hey, I made a mistake, it was on me, you're not going to accept that. And that's what the quarterback's supposed to do, because when you win, the quarterback gets all the praise, and when you lose, the quarterback gets the blame. And that's the position he chose to take. So we're going to stick with him with a B. Now, moving on to the defense. The defense is not the defense it was last year, no doubt. They don't have the defensive line rotation. Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill are playing more snaps. You got some young guys who are getting acclimated to the NFL, and I don't know if they have the talent that Red Bryant and Chris Clemens had. I know they're doing their best, but right now it's just not good enough. You know, they did get some pressure against Oakland, but who doesn't get pressure against Oakland? Bruce Irvin is an enigma. You know, sometimes he makes tremendous plays like he did yesterday against Oakland with the interception where he tipped the ball in the air and then was able to corral it and take it in for a touchdown, outrunning Derek Carr to the end zone. And then a couple of games ago, 2 offsides penalties, just lining up in the neutral zone. Sometimes I wonder where his head be at. But those are the trials and tribulations of a young athlete. That's not the attention to detail that's necessary to be a great player, but hopefully he will get there. Well, he better get there, or I know they'll jettison him out of here. That's just how the Seahawks do business. So with I think Bobby Wagner was out, Malcolm Smith was out. They had some young guys in there, and they held up pretty well. I'll give it to them. They held up pretty well. But moving to the secondary, it is definitely not the Legion of Boom. With Brian Maxwell out, number 28, I think his name is Marcus Burley or whatever. I was fed up with him a couple of games ago. He was pretty solid yesterday against Oakland, but there's a reason why people are second and third string, because they're not talented enough to be on the first string. And they look totally different as a secondary with Maxwell out and others being out. And can anybody say Brandon Browner? But anyway, they held up pretty good. Richard Sherman got a pick, and you know, everything is good in Hawkland today on Monday. So I'm gonna give the Legion of Boom 2014 version. I'm gonna give them a C. They're kind of average right now. They're still but they're still not throwing at Richard, and that's cool. He's a great player, no doubt about it. Which moves me to the special teams. They've been shaky after last year where they were just on it all the time. You know, nobody was getting no return yards or kickoff return yards, punt return yards. We were covering the ball well. John Ryan was punting the ball deep into the other team's territory. They were always making fair catches and downing it or what have you. This year, they have been tricked. And the worst example was against the St. Louis Rams, which was a game that actually, in fact, all their games, the Seahawks have left opportunities on the field to score. So I'm going to give the special teams, I don't know, I'm going to give them a C. They've been average. In fact, I'm going to give them a C minus. They've been below average. But there's time to change, and knowing this coaching staff, it will change. Which is a perfect segue into the coaching staff. Given the injuries, I'm going to have to give the coaching staff a C. I'm still not sold on the bubble screen. It wasn't working with Percy. It wasn't working against Oakland yesterday. And maybe if you keep throwing it out there, maybe they got a bigger plan on the table where teams see film of the bubble screen and game plan for it, and then they don't see it, or they're going to get another variation. But then on the other side too, I can see them wanting to use the kid from Colorado, Richardson, and getting him in the Percy Harvin mode because he is fast also. Probably as fast as Percy Harvin from what I hear. So we'll see what happens with that. So overall, scheme-wise for the coaching staff, I'm just going to say the jury's still out on them. I'm going to see how the season progresses. So as a football team, I'm going to give the Seahawks a B- going into the second half of the season. I don't see anything but improvement. going forward because they're going to get key players back healthy, and they should be able to do what they're going to do. Which leads me to my last point. It's the media and the sports media up here in Seattle, Washington in particular. The way that they handled Marshawn Lynch holding out from training camp, to the Percy Harvin debacle, to the Russell Wilson not being black enough. They just don't have a clue. And one of the reasons that they do not have a clue, because you have no diversity in mainstream media up here in Seattle. To listen to the local media, sports media, stumble, bumble, tumble over the race issue involving these players was truly sad. Now, I know there's a gentleman, I think he works for the Times, and he's on the radio, named Jerry Brewer, who is a black man, and I read a couple of his pieces, and, let's not even get it twisted. He gets a check from Clear Channel or whoever, so he's not really to express how he needs to express. And I guess there's this radio show called The Barbershop with Marcus Trufant, and I don't know what's going on with that show because I haven't listened to it. But I can tell you right now, they need somebody to go after these issues in an intelligent way with the facts, and who have researched to come to these facts. And what the Brock Hewards and Mike Salks and Softy Maulers and Mitch Levy's and Ian Furnesses and the rest of them, they've never walked in the shoes of the black athlete. So how can they relate the story? I hear things coming out of their mouths that are just beyond me. I don't think any kid grows up to want to be a thug or to be an asshole or whatever. It just turns out that way. Star athletes are usually pampered anyway coming up and don't have to be like normal people. And they know that. They're going to get their way. So I think there needs to be more diversity in the local sports media up here. And if they're not going to give you the diversity, and they haven't so far, you need to do your own thing. And state your facts. State your opinion and be able to back it up with facts, because I know people who talk and don't know what they're talking about because they don't research nothing. It's just pure emotion. That's not journalism. I'm not a journalist. I'm a consultant. I'm a news consultant. And I research my facts before I state my opinion to make it balanced. So as far as sports media is concerned up here, because they're not journalists either, they're just entertainers, and they want you to tune into their show with their outlandish comments to keep you talking and thinking and keep the ratings up, because if you don't have any advertisers on your radio show, you're not going to have a job. That's just the nature of the business. So I give local sports media up here a D, with one exception. Brock Hewitt, he's good. He is good. And so that is my Seahawk midterm. I hope you got some insight on it. And I'm going to leave you with one tidbit. As I was watching Russell Wilson's press conference yesterday after the Oakland game, when the media was asking about Marshawn Lynch, he kept attaching accolades to Robert Turbin at the end of his accolades for Marshawn Lynch. Just keep that in mind going forward, because Russell has a relationship with the front office that practically none of the other players have. So he knows things as a franchise quarterback what other people on the team don't know, and we don't know out here in the public. but it will all come to light eventually. That's going to be it for me as far as this podcast of the Max Limbaugh Show is concerned. Stay tuned, because I'm going to be hitting on the real issues. I'm not, like I said, we're not a sports podcast, but we just did this just because we got some issues up here. Yo, peace. We're out.
For the try to